The head of the National Prosecuting Authority investigative directorate, Hermione Cronje, says they are ready to start prosecuting high-profile Bosasa-related cases. Speaking to Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Justice and Correctional Services yesterday, Cronje says her department is hard at work. She adds that some of the information emanated from the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. Joining me on the line is NPA National Spokesperson Bulelwa Makeke. Bulelwa, welcome to the program.
Good afternoon, Jonathan. Thank you very much.
Sis Bulelwa, what other cases is the NPA Special Investigations Directorate ready to prosecute at this point?
Nhlanhla, I think it's important, firstly, to emphasize that we understand the frustration and the anxiety that the South African public is experiencing with not seeing anything seemingly happening in our court in regards to the high-profile state capture cases. But it's important maybe to really reflect how much work has gone into these cases. And it's important because the investigating directorate actually encompasses investigations and prosecution, so it's responsible for the entire chain up to taking a case to court. But the difference with the investigating directorate is that it does not want to take cases that are not guaranteed. We could almost say not guaranteed to actually. So failure is just not an option. So, if you see the report that was delivered to the Portfolio Committee yesterday, it gives you a sense of how much work has been going into these cases, that until if you get to court and we get a conviction, that is when the real work will start to reflect. But, for instance, how the investigating directorate has organized its work processes is in terms of 3 streams. It focuses on areas in the security sector, so all complicit action that was indirectly related to state capture in the security sector. For instance, in November 2019, we actually convicted a former Major General with the CFO of Crime Intelligence, who was convicted of corruption and receiving undue gratification. And you will know that we actually have a case currently of the former acting National Commissioner, Nhlanhla, which is currently on the roll. It's now going to be appearing again on the 15th of June. There's it's around the tender, corrupt tender that was issued, which is around 65 million rand. So that's another case that's lying in the court processes already. We expect to get some real concrete work coming out of the investigating directorate. And they finalized the racketeering charge sheet arising out of fraud and corruption committed during the 2010 World Cup procurement in KZN. And then the next stream is, the high-level public and private sector corruption. Key cases out of that, there are a number of them, but ones that are already, close to prosecution or in the process of prosecution is one, the Bosasa matter. Everybody would have seen the testimony, for instance, of Mr. Agrizi during the state capture inquiry. A whole lot of information has actually been drawn from there, but there's other information that has to be put together, obviously. If you understand how a criminal case is to be put together, is that you're not able to grab things from a state capture or any other commission and take it to court. You actually have to have your own forensic analysis of the transactions or whatever is entailed in that case to be able to take a fully prosecutable case to court. So that is a matter that is also in the process. And with Estina as well, you would recall last year the investigating director, Advocate Hermione Cronje, had announced that with regard to the Estina matter, it was almost ready to go to court. But, the other important thing about these cases is you do not want to target small players. You really want to be sure that you broaden the net of accused persons as much as possible. So there was a challenge of or lack of cooperation with the UAE, for instance, because there's a lot of cooperation that's required from the UAE to make sure that this case is as strong as possible, and also to target the real, the big players in the space. So that now is actually, there's a bit more cooperation from the UAE. Things are starting to happen. It's encouraging, but until we take it to court and we actually get a conviction, that is when it will really, the fruit will start to bear and everybody sees that.
Bulelwa Makeke there, the NPA's head of communications, just speaking to us following remarks made by the head of the National Prosecuting Authority's investigative directorate, Hermione Cronje, saying that they are ready to start prosecuting high-profile Bosasa-related matters.